What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about alt season today. We're going to talk about the altcoin markets today at the request of Max. Max, you asked if I thought there was going to be an altcoin season. You said please give an answer or make a video. Well, I said yes, that was my answer, and we're going to make a video on it too. So, yeah. I do believe we still have an alt season coming up. I think every crypto bull run has an alt season coming up. The psychology or the reasoning, the theory behind it all is that, if Bitcoin goes up and some other key coins, core blockchains and projects go up in value, that these high level, high market cap coins, whenever there's some profit taking going on or there's people trading or circulating their funds, as money does, money doesn't stay stagnant. It does circulate. If it stays stagnant, it dies. So it likes to circulate. So they'll take it from these high value coins and put it in the lower value coins, right? You could basically, and you'll see this happen, right? You'll see some coins, some very big market cap coins, Bitcoin especially, moving up, and then whenever it stops moving up, whenever it chills, whenever it moves sideways, that's when altcoins will start to run up and stuff like that. And we've seen that here and there throughout this cycle. We've seen moments of that, brief moments of that, but for the large part, Bitcoin really has dominated the whole space. It really has, as far as growth goes, it's had the best cycle. There's a couple of coins out there that have had some pretty phenomenal cycles as well, but for the most part, especially since I would say like December or so, everything's been to the downside, even Bitcoin. So what's going to happen whenever we move up, right? What's the expectations here? Let's kind of talk about that. So looking at oops, that's not the right screen. Not the right screen here. If we're looking at Bitcoin here, I'm assuming, and nobody knows exactly what's going to happen. We're just guessing here. I'm assuming that we will find support somewhere around this all-time high. Okay, we're going to come down and find support down here. A lot of people seem to be mistaken, right? They either think I'm too bullish for saying that we're going to go to 170K and beyond by the end of May, by the end of June, or they think that I'm bearish and that the bear market's on and the bull market's dead. I don't think the bull market is dead, you guys. I think the bear market is non-existent right now, and people are scared, and that tends to happen, right? And it's actually a good thing whenever at each of these lows, people still assume that the bear market's alive, right? If we have that disbelief, that despair, that's what the bulls feed on. It really is. So when we come down, by the bulls, I mean the people who want the price to go up, who think the price is going to go up. When we go down, I don't believe that we're going to interact with 69K. I think that we will find support somewhere around 74 to 73K, something like this, and this will be a nice platform, a very nice platform for us to launch from and go all the way up to our golden ratio zone here and beyond. It's very common when consolidating in your 1272 to 100 area like this, that when you do move up, the next area is all the way at the 1618. So this will generate some massive gains for Bitcoin, right? I mean, from the current price, let alone from where it might go. I'm not going to measure from where it might go, but we're talking about over 100% of a move, okay? For anybody that has a hard time seeing that, let's just real quick go over this. And this is all pertaining to the altcoin cycle. I promise we'll get to that, right? If we look at Bitcoin here from a low to a high, not even the low of the move, but just where this move began, and maybe not even the high of this move, but just to where this move kind of ended right here, right? This is all part of a consolidation phase, but this was your move up. That was a 46% move. Here, low to the high of the move right there, that was a 58% move. I'm not going to measure this because it's a consolidation phase. This move might have started here, but let's actually take it from here where the move started. It was still consolidating down here all the way up to this high. That's a 65. You can see that these moves are getting bigger, right? That's kind of the main point that we're addressing here. Low here to this high, 91%. This move didn't start back here, but I would say that it did start probably right about here. We go from that low to this high here, and that was a 98%. Do you see the pattern, right? 46, 58, 65, 91, 98, and people think we're in a bear market, you guys. The structure is more. Every single time we move up, it's more. That's what we see. And I do anticipate that this coming move, unlike a lot of people, and there's a lot of people that think like I do, but and they're the people like me who've been in the markets for, this is their third bull cycle, fourth bull cycle. They've been in it since the beginning, right? I'm not saying me being in my third bull cycle, I've definitely not been in it since the beginning, but there are people who have been in it since the beginning. The same people that have had experience in these markets are saying the same things that I'm saying, which is that this coming move is going to be massive. It's going to be the biggest move we've seen all cycle, okay? It will be. Bitcoin, the Mac Daddy, whether the dominance goes down, whether it goes up, whatever, it's going to make a huge move. So that's going to be good for all the little baby coins, all of them, all the altcoins, right? And Ethereum likely in this time as well which this one does actually matter, right? Ethereum moving up tends to be good for the baby altcoins, right? For Ethereum's like the mama duck. All the altcoins, all the ERC20s are like little baby ducks. But I think that Ethereum has a little bit lower to go, just like Bitcoin. I think that they both have a little bit lower to go. Low to high here. You're going to go to your golden ratio, and then once you have that area, Ethereum's going to erupt, you guys. We're going to see new all-time highs by the end of May, by the end of June. Bitcoin's going to move up over 100%. Ethereum's going to move up over 200%, maybe even over 300%. What's that going to do to altcoins? I can only assume, and if Ethereum moves up in this fashion, that means it's moving up more than Bitcoin. You've got the number 2 coin moving up faster than Bitcoin. That is going to set us up a nice stage to turn this direction around on the altcoin dominance, on the Bitcoin dominance chart here. And oftentimes it's the Bitcoin dominance that sets us up for an alt season, right? Every single alt season, we can see this. We can actually observe this if we compare it to should we compare it to others? Does that go far enough back? I don't know if it does, but let's just see. There we go. Oh, it does. Okay, it goes far enough back. Yeah. For some reason, I thought others did not go that far back. Okay, it does. It goes all the way back to 2014. That's cool. Log chart. We're going to put this in a log, and we'll keep it as a line. I'm going to make the line white because it stands out more on the black background here. Zoom this in. So this is the others chart. The white line is the others chart. The candlesticks, that's the Bitcoin dominance chart. We can see that. Maybe I won't do a white line because I have a white line for the drawing stick. Let's make this orange. Okay. This is Bitcoin dominance. This is the altcoin market index, essentially. Notice that basically, perfectly, exactly whenever the Bitcoin dominance starts to drop, and even before then a little bit, the altcoin markets were coming up, but when it really started to tank, that's when we saw this altcoin rally. This was alt season. How long did it last? This fabled thing called alt season. From this area here to the top, at least to where we closed. We closed high here. This next month, it looks like we closed up a little bit higher, but I bet if we let's just put this into candlestick format just for real quick so it doesn't get too confusing. You see we had a bigger wick there, right? We're going to put it back in a line so that way it's not too confusing. But 10 months. 10 months of upside, you guys. We saw 10 months and sure, there were times where we consolidated for 1 to 2 months, 3 months, whatever, right? That happens. But even in an alt season, that happens. But we moved up. We moved up crazy amounts, and that happened coinciding with the Bitcoin dominance dropping. Here, Bitcoin dominance drops. It was not 10 months that we had an alt season this time, but from this point to this point, that was a 3-month period, a quarter of a year period where we saw some phenomenal growth, some spectacular growth in the altcoin markets. Literally, from this point, that was an $82 billion market cap all the way up to $323 billion. That's like, what would that be? 80, 160, 320. Yeah, that's basically a 4x across the board for the average altcoin over a 3-month period. That's a nice little alt season right there. It wasn't the best, but to be fair, last cycle wasn't the best, and we still continued onwards for, you guessed it, 10 months, just like last time. Weaker alt season, absolutely weaker. The prime, oops, not bars, sorry, candles. The prime time for this alt season was this first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months. Sorry, my bad. It was 5 months. But then going out here, 10 months, 4 months. It just didn't include this, and we didn't have, whenever it's on the line, you don't have that high from the other months, so it takes the red, so that's why. But if you look at this here, it would have been 4 months. My bad. So 4 months of an alt season. We actually went up even higher than I thought, so that would have been a 5x overall over 4 months or something like that. Yeah, something like that, probably just under a 5x. Then we continued to grow a little bit. This time around, I don't think we're going to have this little weak pause in between. I don't know. Is it going to be 10 months from the time the dominance drops to the time altcoins top off? Maybe. That's 2 for 2 right there, but that's not enough to really hold any conviction towards. I don't know why I want to say vindication. Maybe it works. I don't know. But if the dominance drops here at any point, if we do see this drop happening, likely we're going to have a 10-month period, or at the very least a 4 to 5 month period where altcoins are going to be phenomenal and they're going to see dramatic growth. And I very much do believe, now we can get away from this a little bit, right? Just understanding that every single cycle, and by the way, on the note actually, before we actually do get to the altcoins, Bitcoin dominance here, if we go back to the 2016 halving, which was in July, let's go on a weekly basis so we can get this a little bit more refined, okay? Let's just see how long it takes for these dominance drops to take place, right? So 2016 July July 9th, 2016 was the second halving that we ever had. Dominance started to drop really, I would say, here, 35 weeks later, right? 35 weeks later. We have the next halving, which was May 11th of 2020. Let's see, right here. Nope, that was May 18th. We're going to be off by a week. We need it on there. May 11th. The dominance really started to drop here, 33 weeks later. Pretty damn close to each other. This time, we have an extended period where the Bitcoin dominance has grown and we don't have the dominance dropping. This period is longer than anything we've seen so far. My argument there is that it's not that, unlike a lot of people in this market now who are turning sour on altcoins. My opinion is not that we're going to not see an altcoin rally. My opinion is that it's just delayed, and that if anything, we're overdue for an alt season is what it is. Low to high, and now that I'm thinking about it too, a 10-month period for alt season probably doesn't happen. I don't think that happens, right? Because a 10-month period at this point, I mean, that would put us in February of next year, which that's awesome. that's awesome if it happens, but I don't think that the average altcoin, I should have thought, I didn't connect the dots. I was just looking at the data. I'm not using my brain there. A 10-month alt season, I don't think that altcoins are going to grow until December until February of next year. The latest I could see would be December of this year, but probably November to December, somewhere in that area. There's going to be a lot of coins that don't even make it until December for their tops, but that's fine. Just to get the timing right? The last two cycles, we've seen a 10-month spree where we went to the downside, therefore a 10-month spree where we saw altcoins move to the upside. The very first time it was 10 months nonstop, relentless. The last cycle was 5 months really, or 4 months. 5 months if you include the initial month, but 4 months, whatever, of time that we saw a relentless alt season, and then it did continue onwards. The altcoins did continue to climb, at least most of them did, until that November 10 for a total of 10 months. I don't think we're going to get a 10-month season this time because, again, that would put us in early 2026, which it's possible. I got to admit, I'm coming around to the idea of 2026 having the top, especially with how delayed this market's been, but I don't know. To me, anytime, every time that I've thought that the market might go on just a little bit longer than originally expected, that never works. That's not how it goes. That's just greed talking. That's just your inability to accept that the markets aren't performing how you thought they were, or that you've gotten what you expected, and then you think that you need more, that the markets deserve to grow more. I'm not going to listen to that, man, and I don't think anybody should. It's possible that we could continue into 2026. I just doubt it. I very much doubt it. The call has been Bitcoin tops off in October, altcoins top off in November. That's been the call for years now, okay? And I'm sticking to it. Sticking to it until I see enough data to change my mind there. And depending on how this next pump happens, that might be enough data to change my mind. But until we have that, I'm remaining in that kind of belief. It's been 50 weeks, 33 weeks, 35 weeks. We are literally right now at the definition of overdue. I thought back here this was going to be the beginning of alt season. That was a clear top in the dominance there, and yet here we are continuing to rise slowly but surely. As Bitcoin's moving down, altcoins are moving down faster, and that's why we're seeing this rise in the dominance take place. We're just waiting for this to come down, and what that's going to take again is Ethereum to pump more than Bitcoin. What that's going to take is Bitcoin pumping too. Every single alt season that we've had, Bitcoin has pumped. Bitcoin doesn't drop. That's not what happens. So when is alt season going to happen? Your guess is as good as mine. I think it's right around the corner, man. I think the beginning of alt season is this month in April. I think we're going to see it happen. As far as how long will it last? Well, less than 10 months. That much I can say. I'd probably even say less than 8 months at this point. We stand a chance of seeing a nice quarter of a year to a half of a year period where altcoins are just on a straight tear. Not every altcoin. And here's the difference. Here's the significant difference of this cycle compared to the last two cycles, all right? Not every altcoin is going to pump dramatically, right? Not every altcoin is going to see a 40x, 50x, 100x, right? But the majority, I would say, and maybe not the majority of legit coins, whatever that means, coins that aren't straight rug pulls or meme coins, stuff like that, I believe that the average altcoin will participate in the altcoin season whenever it happens, which I think is going to happen here this month in April. And I guess I can go over some of the reasons why just real quick. But first I want to complete this thought. I think that the average altcoin from their current prices will see something on the lines of like a 25 to 30x by the end of the cycle. And that might actually have only gone up. The reason why I believe this is if you take the others chart into consideration on a monthly basis here, we take the, and I just want to make sure, can you guys hear me? Okay, good. The mic is on. That's good. We take the monthly chart into consideration on the others chart here. From a high to a low, I'm anticipating that Bitcoin here, we'll delete all this, I'm anticipating Bitcoin goes to its 2272 of this cycle, okay, 2272, all the way up here by the end of the cycle. Yes, that's what my assumption is. Last cycle, from the cycle high to cycle low 2 cycles ago, the last cycle's peak was right at the 1618, right there at the 1618, okay? The point that I'm making here is that others, if we take in the last cycle's high to the last cycle, or 2 cycles ago's high to the bear market low there, we only stopped at the 1618 there. We didn't go to the 2272. So we kind of go tit for tat with Bitcoin on these fib bases, fib levels. That's kind of how it happens, or at least that's my theory as far as how it will happen. I would expect that if Bitcoin goes to its 2272 by the end of the cycle, that the average altcoin, or that the others chart itself, will go to its 2272 as well. And from the current price valuation of $210 billion in market cap for the whole, this is just the top 125 coins excluding the top 10. So but basically it's the altcoin index if you accept it as that. Anything outside the top 125, I suppose, has a greater chance of seeing more growth. As you get closer to that top 20, top 10 coins, they probably see less growth than this, probably. That's just my assumption, but we'll see. The 2272 is an area that you normally find respect on, just above. Not right at, but just above. So if you hit the 2272, that's about a 27x. Not a 25x, 27x. We move down a little bit. If you go just above it here, maybe to $7 trillion in market cap valuation, that's a 33x. So this is kind of the expectation for the average altcoin. And if this is what alt season is going to bring for us, or at least the majority of this, I do think that this next move is going to end sometime in May or June. I don't think that's the end of the cycle. I think the cycle continues past then. Where will the average altcoin be by the end of May or June? I think that we're going to be all the way, somewhere in this range between $838 billion, $1 trillion. I bet that's where we find some resistance right there. So the average altcoin on this next move might see something on the lines of like a 4x to a 5.5x, something like that. Maybe we see more than that. Maybe the average altcoin moves up 7x, but it's going to be phenomenal. And this is just to the end of May, end of June, likely sometime in June. Going out through the rest of the year, we'll continue to grow. And then as we get into November, December, I do believe that we will see overall a 30x around there, right? 27x, 35x, something in that area. If your altcoin that you're looking at has prospects or seems to have aspirations for higher growth or more growth than this, you have a winner. You have something that's going to outperform the average coin, right? This is kind of the standard. If you're looking at a coin, an altcoin that doesn't even have 27x potential in it, then maybe you're not looking at a winner. And that's fine. Some of the coins that have, like Dogecoin, I don't think Dogecoin is going to see a 27x, not from its current price, but I still think that one's a safe investment. I think that is going to go up in value. I think that there is a future for Dogecoin, even though it is a meme coin. It's the meme coin. It's not a meme coin. It's the meme coin, right? There's coins like Ethereum, Bitcoin, XRP that they might not see a 30x, but that they're still very safe plays to make, and that's there's a certain risk. There's an inherent risk that comes with investing in anything in crypto, especially coins outside of the top 10. But with greater risk comes greater return. That's just kind of how it is. But if you can find coins that meet this standard, cool. You're at least performing as expected. If you're finding coins that perform below this standard, they better be in the top 20. If they're not in the top 20, what are you doing? If you're investing in a coin that's in like the bottom 400. Or I guess not the bottom. It's between the top 300 and top 400. What are you doing? What are you doing there? Well, why would you want a coin that can only do a 30x and that kind of rate? It better do like a 60x, a 50x, something more. And nobody knows, right? You can plan, you can estimate, you can use your fib tools and expectations, use fundamental analysis, whatever, even insider information. But you never know. You never maybe the insiders have a little bit more knowledge, but even then, you never know how much something's going to grow. So pick your battles wisely, and I think if you're going to look at the prospects of any kind of coin you're investing in, it should have like a 27, 28x standard. If it doesn't have that, it doesn't interest me. And I don't think that it should interest anybody, but not financial advice, not a financial advisor. Do what you want. Bitcoin's definitely not going to do that, and there's plenty of people that have a majority of their portfolio in Bitcoin, and that's respectable, that's commendable, and also it's probably a safe bet. It's probably the safest bet, right? You're going to at least make money, but you might not make as much money as the average altcoin. The reason why, Oh damn! See, I thought I was showing this. My bad. Ha! I thought I was showing this, you guys. I didn't show any of that for that last part, did I? Oh well, that's okay. Essentially, though, man. So essentially, Bitcoin here from a high to a low, right? 2 cycles ago went to its 1618, right? The others chart here. This is the average altcoin chart from a high to a low went to just above its 2272. That's what I was saying. That's so you can just imagine you're listening to this video without watching it. That you got the same amount of information. The information is still there. It's just I didn't have the visual representation. But that's okay. I'm gonna put my big face back on here. Okay, so we've got a lot of things coming our way. We've got quantitative easing quantitative easing. I think it's the first one. Easing is supposed to happen, or at least we're anticipating that it will happen sometime over the coming months. Maybe if not, at least definitely a pause or a reduction in quantitative tightening. We're going to have interest rates. Federal Reserve interest rates are likely going to come down in the month of May. Trump and this pissing match between the Federal Reserve everybody thinks it's with the whole damn world, but I think it's just with the Federal Reserve really, and maybe it is with the whole world to a certain degree too. But really, what the plan is to get the debt refinanced for America, for the United States, and for that, the best way to do that is to have lower interest rates. And that hasn't happened yet, right? Not since he's been in office. So I think that with May coming around, we might see that happen if the interest rates get dropped enough. If it's not enough for Trump to want to refinance the debt, he might just, that might not happen, and we might still see some turbulence going forward. But that doesn't necessarily make sense to me, but that could happen. That's something we should prepare for. I think that a refinancing of the debt, Trump laying off on the tariffs or taking it easy on the markets and allowing them to grow, the Fed lowering interest rates, which would also allow the markets to grow. The M2 money supply coming up alongside with interest rates going down makes the money supply is going up, and it's cheaper for people to go into debt and therefore pump up the money supply as well. Get into risk on assets. Quantitative easing starts to happen. All these things culminating together will likely be the exact same scenarios, the same situations that we've seen in prior cycles where Altseason has really erupted from. And I think that's probably going to start happening in May. Or even late April, because the FOMC meeting, where for months now they've been saying that they're going to, it's been like 2 months or more, I think maybe 3 months, that the Fed Chair Jerome Powell has been saying they're going to drop interest rates in May. Back in January they said it's probably not going to be for a while. They probably won't at the next FOMC meeting, and they didn't. They said it'll probably be May. At the last FOMC meeting, they said they seemed to say that everything is going according to plan. Everything is exactly what they expected it to be, and things are on the right track, which means that they're not going to drop interest rates at the last meeting. They're going to drop interest rates at the next one, which has been the plan for a quarter of a year now or so. We're going to get that, and potentially there's even been talks of quantitative easing coming in, right? Quantitative tightening at least being dialed back at the very least. Both good things. Either way, the better thing would be quantitative easing coming back into play. But also we have the Federal Reserve dumping a lot of assets. I think I saw something. They dropped like $2 trillion of assets since December. They've literally offloaded from their reserves, from their holdings, and people, don't get me wrong, the tariffs are shaking up the markets right now. It's causing uncertainty, but the Federal Reserve dropping $2 trillion of assets across the stock market, that's probably a big reason as to why the market's dropping. Right? You can basically follow the Federal Reserve. They win, man. They're the ones in charge of the money. Whenever they're dropping stocks, that's not because the stock market's going up. The stock market's going to go down. They're the ones that basically hold the keys to the ignition there. Whenever they're accumulating stocks, and they only really do that during times of like quantitative easing and stuff like that, when risk-on environments are more appropriate, that's when we see these markets do really well. And I think we're not just waiting for Bitcoin to take off for the altcoin season. I don't think we're just waiting for Ethereum to take off, but we're waiting for the stock markets as well. We're waiting for consumer confidence to come back into the markets. And I think that's all going to happen in May. So likely what will happen, and when I say consumer confidence, I'm talking about on average. Likely what will happen is the big dogs, not the retail investors, maybe the smart retail investors, but the institutions, they're forward thinking. They think about what's going to happen before it happens, right? So whenever this bullish event comes out and interest rates are coming down, and maybe Trump refinances the debt. Maybe by this time a month has passed and some countries have reached out and they've negotiated and tariffs come down. Things aren't escalating. If things do escalate, it could be a different story, but we'll see. The Federal Reserve starts to accumulate assets instead of distributing assets. This is stuff that people are going to be aware of before it actually happens, before it's publicly known about. So if in the beginning of May, the 6th and the 7th, I believe, is the next FOMC meeting, if that's in the beginning of May, then likely we're going to start to see some recovery, some dramatic recovery. We'll see this insider knowledge pumping up the prices before May. So end of April, mid-April, end of April, stuff like that, right? In anticipation of this bullish outcome. They say buy the hype, sell the news. The hype's out there, you guys. We're aware of the hype. Right now, we've probably got, I'm actually kind of curious to see what the jobs report will be today. I got to watch Jerome Powell. I got to stop talking because I think actually I might have an hour. No, it's probably happening in like 20 minutes actually. But and it might be a big deal, it might not be. I think we're going to get negative results on the jobs report today, or at the very least, nothing that's going to pump up the markets. So I think we're waiting for this, and then we'll probably come down. But we'll see. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. But I think that going into like the midway point of this month and on from April and on through May and June, we're going to see some phenomenal times. We're going to pump really hard. And this is where I actually want to end the video real quick. Okay, so a lot of people might hear that and they're like, you're thinking that we're going to be bullish, C-Zar, from May. We're going to be bullish in the end of April through May and through June. You're crazy, man. Don't you know? Sell in May and go away. No, I don't know that actually. I don't know why a lot of people know that either. I know that that's an old thing that people say, but let's look at Bitcoin here. Let's look at Bitcoin. We could look at the total market cap, but I'm just going to look at BTC on the index because what's good for Bitcoin is good for the total market cap. Okay, and this one has the most data. Has the most data. Okay. And I've done this before. I don't want to talk about this too much because this is going to be a big part of the May analysis that I do, and I like to save that for those end of month analyses. But let's get this out here because I can already tell people are worried about what may or may not happen in May. May or may not happen in May. So these are cyclical lines, right? From May here to May there, every single line is on a given May. Okay, so we're going to look at bull market Mays, not bear market Mays, just bull market Mays. And I want you to tell me if sell in May, go away worked. Well, sell in May here, you missed the pump. So no, it did not work. That's one time it did not work. Sell in May, go away? No. More like a sell in June and go away. So no, May did not work. Nope, that's two in a row that did not work. Here, did sell in May work? No, that's three in a row. It did not work. Here, sell in May, we're in the bull market still. And that time, hey, it did work. You sell in May, you go away for a few months, a couple months. Yeah, it actually worked. So that's one time that it worked. Bear market, so we're not going to talk about it. But even though you sell in May, it did not actually work. It was more of a sell in June, to be fair. Bull market comes in. This isn't even a bull market, but still, sell in May, go away did not work. Sell in May, go away in a bull market. That's the fourth time that it did not work. It was more of a sell in June and go away. Sell in May, go away. I don't think so. Not that time. Nope. Bear market, okay, it works out, but we're not counting bear markets. We're just doing bull markets. Sell in May, go away. No, it was a sell in June and go away. That's five. That's five right there. Sell in May, go away. It was a red month in June, but we actually went higher in June, didn't we? And then the amount that we went down was 3%. I'm going to step on a limb here and say no, it did not work that time because then you would have missed also the July pump there. So, for what, a 3% drop from the open to close? No, I don't think so. So that's six. That's six sell in Mays and go aways that did not work. In the bull markets, right? Sell in May here, go away? No. Nope, that's 7 times that it did not work. We actually kept moving up until July, and then we started moving down. In July, we moved down, but we had our high for this relative time frame in July. Sell in May, go away here? Yeah, it worked out. There we go. So that's 2 times in bull markets, 2 times versus 8 times that sell in May has worked out. Sell in May and go away has worked out. Most of the time, it's actually sell in June and go away, which is kind of what I'm calling for right now. Is sell in May and go away going to work? Probably not. We've moved down, you guys, since January. We've moved down for like nearly a quarter of a year. You think next month, after we pump up a little bit by the end of this month and a little bit in May, or probably a little bit more in May, you think that it's going to be a sell in May and go away time? Probably not. I wouldn't be surprised if we even continued pumping past June, but I'm trying to stay a little bit level-headed here, right? And address the facts. So if anybody says that and they think that they're the arbiters of truth because of this old saying, which used to work out, but it doesn't work out anymore. It's the same thing for the stock markets. You can check it out. Sell in May and go away has not been a positive thing, has not been an accurate thing for anybody in a bull market for like 10 years now, man. It just hasn't. Twice. 2 times out of 8 times it was. And even then, it's really not that big of a deal. But and one of those times was recently. 2 out of 8 times was all we got. one of those times recently. Do you think we're going to have back-to-back sell in May and go aways? I don't think so, man. So anyways, guys, Bitcoin going down, expecting it to go down all season. All season is put on pause. All season will begin likely sometime by the end of this month, right? Because we'll have that anticipation of all these bullish things culminating together, ideally, hopefully. And then May and June will be, I think really May and June will be the brunt of alt season, maybe going into July as well. We'll take a pause, and then we'll continue to grow going into Q3 and Q4 potentially, and that our alt season might end there potentially. I don't assume that we're going to see these long phases of consolidation anymore, right? For alt season, for altcoins, we've been consolidating since December. I mean, that's like 4 months now, almost 5 months now. I don't think that that's going to happen. I think we'll see a month of consolidation, weeks of consolidation at the most, and we'll continue to run. That's what alt season is. That's what the bull market that's what the bull market brings. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I appreciate you all for being here. I don't have anything else I want to say, so I'm gonna go blow my nose because I keep having to clear my nose out in the non-fun way. So I'm gonna go do it the fun way. All right, take it easy. Bye bye.